Okay, welcome to my first podcast, The Challenge. And I have with me my son who challenged me to do this. And I've been using this term, The Challenge, on many of my social media platforms. So I decided to make it something beyond what I'm usually doing. And it's more relaxed. I can talk about different things. Many of you know that when I'm usually on social media, I deal with subjects that are pretty intense. And so this is a time to relax, let people hear a different part of me, talk about different subjects. And I want you to just enjoy the things I'm going to be sharing. And I want to first of all say my son, Johnathan, who's in the studio with me, he's the one that encouraged me to do this podcast. I didn't know very much about podcasting. But Johnathan, tell me, why did you feel I needed to do a podcast?
Well, you know, I'm forever behind the scenes, everybody. I want you to stay relevant, Dad.
He wants me to stay relevant.
So this is a good way to get...
he doesn't want me to become an old geezer and become irrelevant. He wants me to reach another generation of young people. So he's always on me about making sure that I don't become irrelevant. You know, he was raised in the church, born in the church. I'm a pastor, of course, and I've been pastoring for over 30 years. I've been in ministry over 40 years. So his whole life he's seen me in the church, preaching, going to nations, traveling around. And he said, Dad, I don't want you to become irrelevant. I want you to do a podcast and do some things. So that's why I'm here. And I'm really excited because I have some different topics I'm going to talk about. And different things I want to talk about. Let me bring this up first. This morning, we just finished our webinar yesterday, and had a great time teaching for 6 hours. And again, that was more structured teaching on the subject of the prophetic. And so I'm downtown Chicago, and I have a chance to stay in a hotel, nice hotel, when I come to do my webinar in the city, because the studio is in the city. And I'm sitting in the lobby today, and I see this picture behind me, and I take a picture of it. And this is what it says. It says, take a selfie, fake a life. Take a selfie, fake a life. So that's interesting. And I, of course, took a picture of it, and I said, let me talk about this whole social media thing about taking selfies. Now, my son is always telling me, Dad, you're at your selfie limit. Because when I take selfies, he said, don't take any more selfies. Why don't you want me to take that many selfies, Johnathan?
They date you, really. I mean, you can take like one selfie, you know, your outfit, your shoes, your hat, something like that. But just a straight up selfie, you know,
So you're saying there's a limit on selfies?
I think it's I don't know how to
Is it an age thing? Do young people take a lot of selfies?
A lot of young people, a lot of women.
But as you get older, you shouldn't take a lot of selfies?
No, I don't take selfies. I mean, I take a selfie like with my wife.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't do.
So this picture I'm showing people, take a selfie, fake a life. Evidently, a lot of the selfie picture taking of people on social media, basically they're pretending that they have a great life, and behind the scenes, their life is not all that great.
Oh, they bragging. A lot of people take selfies in the gym when they working out.
So yeah, so this and I want to bring something else in, because the last couple of days we've had people that are pretty popular in our culture that ended their life. Several days ago, Kate Spade ended her life. She was in her 50s. I didn't really know much about her. I used to buy purses for my wife because I like these Kate Spade purses. I didn't really know much about her. And she committed suicide a few days ago. And then I woke up today, and Anthony Bourdain, is it Bourdain or Bourdain?
It's Bourdain.
Bourdain found out, both of them in their 50s. Well, he's in his 60s, I think. He's 60, 61 or something. He evidently took his life. So they're two prominent people that took their life. And these are wealthy people, prominent people. These are people that are well known. I used to watch Anthony Bourdain, his travels, eating. I like different kinds of food. I've been to 80 nations, and people often ask me, what are some of the most interesting things you've eaten going around the world, different nations, and I've eaten some interesting things. So I used to watch him. He'd go to all these exotic places and eat all these different dishes that, you know, people ordinarily would not eat. And then I found out that he took his life. And you said, Johnathan, that when you woke up this morning and heard he taking his life, that it really made you feel bad. Why did you feel bad about that?
I mean, if you ever watch his show, he seemed like a real cool guy. He went through a lot. He was a heroin addict, chef, and now he has like 10, 11 seasons on TV. And he's one of the only TV shows I watch probably every single one.
He said this. I want to show people what he said. When I saw this on Instagram, and it really was an interesting statement he made on his late in life success. He became successful late in life, and this is what he said. He said, "I should have died in my 20s. I became successful in my 40s. I became a dad in my 50s. I feel like I've stolen a car, and a really nice car, and I keep looking in the rearview mirror for flashing lights, but there's been nothing yet." Yeah, what a statement. Again, I should have died in my 20s. So evidently, you said he was a heroin addict?
Yeah, he was a heroin addict. He was a heavy drinker. He said it was a lot of pressure on him being a chef.
And then he became successful in his 40s. His show went around the world. Anthony Bourdain. I became a dad in my 50s. That's kind of late to become a father. And so he must have a very young child, which is really tragic because I believe Kate Spade had a 13-year-old child when she passed. And then he said, "I feel like I've stolen a car, a really nice car, and I keep looking in the rearview mirror for flashing lights, but there's been nothing yet." So evidently, he evidently felt that something was going to happen, that all this success, he didn't deserve it. That's an interesting point. Sometimes people get successful and they really feel like they don't deserve the success. Why did this happen to me? How did I become rich? How did I become famous? And some people actually have guilt and shame because of success. That's interesting. And then for him to take his life is really amazing. He said this on the challenge and beauty of traveling. I like traveling. I've been to 80 nations. I've been around the world. I've been to some of the most beautiful places on the earth. He said, travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts, even breaks your heart, but that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. It leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on your body. You take something with you. Hopefully, you leave something good. Then here's another quote he said on life. Life is complicated. It's filled with nuance. It's unsatisfying. Now that is tragic. To have that kind of success and say that life is unsatisfying. You know, I'm reminded of what the book of Ecclesiastes said, vanity of vanity, all is vanity. That's what the preacher says in the book of Ecclesiastes, that after he did everything, experienced everything you could possibly have, he said it's all empty. And then, so he says it's unsatisfying. If I believe in anything, it is doubt. The root cause of all life's problems is looking for a simple effing answer. That's not a good quote.
His daughter's 11. I just brought up a picture of her.
And that's so tragic. Someone would take their life at that age, and his daughter's 11. That's so tragic that these young, Kate Spade's daughter's 13, his daughter's 11. Now they have to live the rest of their life with the fact that one of their parents took their own life. And so there's a lot of quotes he gives, but it's just so sad. And there are a lot of people today talking now about suicide prevention, and it's kind of a subject that's coming up more and more. So many depressed people, so many discouraged people, and so that's what we're dealing with now. That's kind of the preeminent news now about Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, things that are coming up on social media, and it's really heartbreaking. But you know, one of the things I've learned is that you've got to enjoy life. You can't take life too seriously. You've got to enjoy life, and you've got to enjoy your family and enjoy the simpler things of life, because you know, someone says money can't buy you happiness. And these people are wealthy people, but then someone came back and said being broke can't buy you anything. So you know, that's a good statement, but it's really sad. So I don't want to dwell on this too much. I just want to kind of talk about it. And also today I want to talk about leadership. I being a leader, being a public figure, the challenges. It's called The Challenge, being the challenges of being a public leader, a public figure, things that you go through behind the scenes that people may not fully understand. One thing I never do is I never get on social media and vent. I never get on social media and release everything that I'm dealing with. I got a close circle of friends that I can talk to and get prayer or ministry. But there are a lot of challenges that come from being a leader that people don't see. They see you in public. They see you on a platform. They hear you speaking. They see you on social media. And they say, oh, I wish I had that kind of life. And their blessings, of course, with success. But then there are things that are challenging as a leader. And I'm going to talk about some of them in this time, this challenge. Also, I saw another interesting story about the crocodile that ate a pastor as he was baptizing. Crocodile attacks, kills pastor performing baptism in lake. That's not good. And first thing I said was, is this real news? Because you know, you can see stuff on social media that you know you have to really check. I think there's a page called The Onion. Is that the Onion, the satire page?
Yeah, this is real news though. This is abcactionnews.com.
So this is real news.
Yeah.
So I say, first of all, if you're a pastor baptizing people, what are you doing in a lake where there are crocodiles?
In Florida, I believe.
Was it in Florida?
Orlando family plays in backyard with alligator watching just feet away. Yeah, this is all Florida stuff. Everything.
So a pastor gets eaten by a crocodile as he's baptizing.
Oh no, I'm sorry. This is in southern Ethiopia.
Thank you. See, I figured it wasn't America. It's in
Come on,
Ethiopia.
a lot of stuff happens. A lot of stuff like this happens in Florida.
Okay,
weirder stuff happens in
explains
Florida.
it. Listen, people, I believe in baptism, but I'm not going to go in a lake where there are crocodiles and baptize people. I'm going to do it in a bathtub before I do it in a lake where there are crocodiles, and then a pastor gets eaten alive by a crocodile. That is not the way God intended for you to perform ministry. So that was an interesting story about a pastor getting eaten by a crocodile. So I've dealt with two.
It said that fishermen and residents reportedly used fishing nets to prevent the croc from taking the pastor's body into the lake, but the animal eventually escaped.
So did the pastor die?
Yeah, he died. I think he died from his injuries though.
That's not good.
That was just a mistake. I just Googled pastor and that came up.
Okay, so that's another story. You find these interesting stories on here. Here's a leader. He's doing his job. He's baptizing believers. An exciting time. Baptism is an exciting time. You know, when people are getting baptized, people are rejoicing. I've been to baptisms. We've seen baptism on Lake Michigan. I'm near Lake Michigan, but there are no crocodiles in Lake Michigan. You know, we have Easter sunrise baptisms where people, you know, get baptized. It's really exciting. Saints are singing, but never have I seen a pastor get eaten by a crocodile in a lake. So those are the two things I kind of wanted to talk about. Let me talk about the challenges of being a leader and some things that go on behind the scenes. Let me share with you something recently that I had to deal with. It's nothing major, just something that if I wasn't careful, I would allow to vex me. Okay? I'm preaching a message last week at a marriage retreat on being kind. couples being kind to one another. I use the two words kindness and loyalty from the book of Proverbs, and the King James Version says mercy and truth. Other translations say let not kindness and loyalty leave you. If you bring these things into your life, you'll find favor with God and man. So I'm preaching to married couples about how to find the favor of God on your life. And I was saying that if you're, as a couple, if you're kind to your mate, if you speak kindly to your mate, sometimes the couples can be mean to each other. Husband mean to the wife, wife mean to the husband. Even Christian couples, they can be kind to everybody else, but when it comes to their mates, they're like bulldogs. And I was talking about loyalty, being faithful and loyal to your mate. And I was preaching on how that can cause favor to come on your life. And it was a great message. People were blessed. They were saying, oh, that was a blessed message. And I was talking about don't be mean to each other. Be kind to one another. I was saying that it's so easy to let life make you mean and life make you bitter and make you angry. So I do this message and I come home. And I go on my social media page and I get a message in my messenger, my inbox. Now, even though I'm a public figure, I still leave my messenger and inbox open for people to contact me. And some leaders don't do it. Somebody's shaking their head now saying don't do it. But I do, because people contact me. Some I respond to, some I don't respond to. Sometimes people don't need a response. They just send you, different things, say hello, wave at you. There used to be a thing on social media where they would poke you. Remember they would poke
Facebook
you?
poke? Oh, yeah.
But now it's a thing where they're waving at you. And so, but I get an inbox from a member that used to attend my church. I don't know where she is now. And she says, you on here preaching about being mean, and you don't remember that I used to be a part of your ministry, and you walked out the office one day and you looked at me so mean, and here you are preaching on meanness, and you were mean to me. So I answered the person. I said, no one's been mean to you. I don't even remember you being on my close to me. I guess it was hospitality. I said, I don't even remember you being on hospitality.
That's kind of mean, ain't it?
So I just, because I'm not a mean person. I don't walk out of an office scolding people. I'm a pretty, at least I think I am a pretty, nice guy. And so I disagreed with her. I said, I wasn't mean to you. I've never been mean to you. I've responded to you. I talked with you, And so then, she responds and says this. She says, well, you're going to deny it, but it's true anyway. And furthermore, all the witches you're supporting in ministry, God's going to deal with that too. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we don't went from me being mean to now that I'm supporting witches, because I support, I promote a lot of my spiritual sons and daughters, especially my daughters in ministry. And now she's saying all these people are witches. So I say, you know what? I am not going to respond to this, because I know now that this where this is going. And so I just block it. I just say, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to block this person. And, those are some of the things. You'd be amazed at some of the things that leaders have to deal with from people, and it comes out of nowhere that we have to deal with from people. Now we have two choices. We can isolate ourselves and not even receive anything, or we can say, I'm a public figure, so I'm going to open myself. Let me give you this example. Johnathan, did you hear about they had a court case where Donald Trump in his Twitter, I think he banned someone from his Twitter page because they kept coming on there disagreeing with them. So this person went to court and saying that Donald Trump couldn't ban them from his Twitter page because he's the president, he's a public figure, and they have the right to speak. And I think the person won in court.
Well, I think that technically Donald Trump does work for us, right?
Yeah, so that was the question. He works for us, so you can't ban me from your Twitter page. And I think the person won in court that Donald Trump could not ban them from his Twitter page.
Is that real news or is that from The Onion?
No, I think that was on. That wasn't on Onion. That was on Fox News, I think.
Oh, Donald Trump, but that don't make no sense.
Don't let me start with you. I think that was on Fox News, CNN. It was something recent. And so, as a public figure, you can kind of just say, "I'm not going to receive any inbox. I'm gonna make it so that no one is able to respond. When I do Facebook Lives, I'm gonna stop the comment section because you get all these comments coming on that are just insane. Sometimes people come on with all kinds of crazy comments, and of course, I know you can't take everything seriously. Here it is: Trump blocking of Twitter users is unconstitutional, judge says. So here's a public figure that says that if I don't like what you're saying, I'm gonna block you from Twitter, and the judge says that's unconstitutional because he's a public figure and he works for us. So public figures sometimes they have to take it. Even if they're disagreement, they have to take it. So I could say no comments, block the comments, delete all the comments, or I can open it up because people do want to communicate with me. Or in this case, I'd have to block someone because what they're saying is totally unreasonable. It went from me being mean to them to now I'm supporting witches in ministry.
One of the judges said the judge suggests that he should mute the critics and not block them.
Okay, so that's kind of, I guess, a compromise. Mute them and not block them.
That's a pointless lawsuit there. Just
people
make a new Twitter and troll them from that one. I don't know. Just you can make 100 Twitters. I don't make it. The Russians did it with bots. Just
I know people will sue for anything now. It is amazing. They'll go to court, take up time because they could be on there saying whatever they want to say. And I want to know how Donald Trump. He has over 1 million people on Twitter, I believe, following him.
Probably more than 1 million.
Well, how does he single out the person?
He just goes through he probably goes through his mentions and sees something that bothers him. Because he probably has, every time he posts, people immediately start to comment. So he probably just goes down his comments, and if he doesn't like them, he just blocks them. He doesn't really have to, I don't know, most people, I tell
52 million.
I tell people just to stay, like, Twitter is a depressing place. It's like the worst. It's like the worst of the worst when it comes to humans.
52 million people following you. You're going to get trolls. You're going to get people that say stuff. And so you can't completely block it out. But this is the stuff that leaders have to deal with. I tell people, if you want to be a leader, you got to take it. Of course, you don't have to take everything. You don't have to. I think you have to become anyone's punching bag. And so I blocked this person because it just was getting out of hand, and I knew where this was going. I don't block a lot of people, but I do have, as a matter of fact, on my Periscope, I actually have the number of people that I've had to block. Let me bring it up. On my Periscope. How many people I've had to block because people come on there with profanity. They come on there with just all kinds of crazy. Let me see, blocks. I have 322 people that I blocked on Periscope. Okay, I haven't blocked someone in quite a while because I haven't been going on Periscope a lot. But I blocked 322. So if you're one of the people I blocked, congratulations, you made the list of 322 people that I've had to block because they just say outright just crazy things, sometimes blasphemy. If I'm preaching on something scriptural, they'll come on and blaspheme, they'll curse, they'll call you names, they'll mock, and so I just block them. I just got to the place I delete and block because then I get people saying things like, oh, Pastor Eckhart, don't block people because they need to hear what you're saying. God can save them, and even though they're irreverent and blasphemous, don't block them because they need to hear what you're saying. And my thing is, I don't want my feed to be trolled by a bunch of irreverent people. And I actually have people coming on sometimes and saying, would you please block that person? Because I'm the only one that can do it. They do it on Facebook Live. They do it on Periscope. They say, can you please stop that person? So I block them. Because, when you're a public figure, you're reaching all kinds of people. I've had people come on my pages and say, what is this? When I'm preaching, they don't even know what it is. How did I get on here? Someone shared it and they clicked it and they're saying, what is this? A Dallas?
Well, now they have a Periscope has a feature where if someone says something crazy, the people who are watching, they can vote on it. So if it's I guess it flags the certain words, and so people can vote. So you might not ever see it, but let's say someone says something crazy, then they'll ask me if I'm watching the broadcast, hey, is this okay? And it puts it up to a vote, and then they approve it or don't approve it. So
yeah, I think on Twitter I have over 100, close to like 170,000 on Periscope, 170,000 followers. On Facebook Live, I have about 170, almost 180,000 followers. So you're bound to get things like that. As a leader and just as a public figure, you get all kinds of requests. Here's something interesting. I got this a while ago. Someone saying that they were out of the country to see a relative, and this person was suffering from some type of kidney disease, and they needed to get a surgery, and they need to make it happen now, but their credit card wouldn't work there, and so they didn't have any. They traveled with little money due to the short time, and they lost their phone. And the only way they can contact was through email. And I never expected this to happen, but I really need your urgent help with thousands of dollars or whatever you can spare. And then when I come back to the States, I'll reimburse you when I get back. Now, of course, I'm from 39th Street in Chicago.
Anything else?
I'm from the hood. And when you get requests like that from people, you automatically think scam. This is a scam. And many of you know about the scams that come out of Africa. I think the 419 scams or something, when people, they lost their phone, they lost their credit card, no way they can contact you by email. But if you're Western Union, the money, they'll send it back to you. And people evidently fall for this stuff.
They get a lot of old people, a lot of naive people, like they just think they're gonna help them, or they make it look legit, like they'll fake like they're a company. And most people, they're used to these,
So these are, I get all kinds of emails from people. You'd be amazed at the kind of emails I get in my ministry account. People requesting things, and I've had people. I remember once I got an email from a guy in Canada, and he said he was a minister. He needed a certain amount of money that if I can send it to him, and so I didn't respond. And he texted me later and said, I'm not gonna follow you anymore because I asked you for help and you didn't send me anything, so I won't recommend your ministry to anyone. I'm like, God, I don't even know you.
How are you supposed to just trust someone? Like you can try to be helpful. I don't even want to pull over the side of the road anymore when I see people cars. You never know nowadays. Like people do crazy stuff. It's just.
There used to be a guy that used to come in our church on 38th Street, and he kept coming in with a gas can saying he ran out of gas in front of the church. And I was like, dude, do you ever run out of gas in front of anybody else's church? Why do you always run out of gas in front of our church? You happen to run out of gas right in front of our church, and you come in with a gas can and you need gas money. And then when you tell them no, they say, oh my goodness, you guys don't walk in love. and it really messes up for people who really may need help. You really, as I've been teaching, you really have to operate in discerning of spirits with some of these cases, because you don't want to deny someone that really needs help. But at the same time, this is some of the stuff I deal with behind the scenes, all kinds of different things. You know, and just when you think you have seen it all, I've been in ministry 40 years, and just when you think you've seen and heard everything, something comes up that you have never seen before that is so amazing, it makes you shake your head and say, this can't be true. It's impossible for this to be true. But it happens all the time, being a public figure. You meet so many people. Now, of course, the majority of people you meet are great people. They're blessed people. I thank God for, I know thousands of people in 40 years of ministry, thousands of people that I've met over the years. Most of them are great people, great relationships. You meet so many people, but then as a leader, you're exposed to all kinds of things. And so this is the challenge. You know, be more considerate of your leaders, because you really don't know some of the things they have to deal with behind the scenes. And they may not tell you everything they deal with behind the scenes. You may never ever know what they deal with behind the scenes. So be more considerate, pray for them, understand them. It's a great blessing being a leader, but there are many challenges that come with being a leader. And if some of the leaders would tell you some of the things they experience, it would really make you scratch your head. Most leaders don't even deal with it because they just deal with it in their own life. They never even tell you anything publicly or some of the stuff they have to deal with. They don't throw that all on you and have you worrying about it. They're not stressing about it. But, be more considerate of your leadership. You never know what they're dealing with, especially a public leader, a public person, whether it's in the secular realm, whether it's in the entertainment realm, whether it's in the religious realm. When you get to a place of prominence and leadership and publicity, you deal with all kinds of things, because you deal with people, and people know you. You become a target. I interviewed Kimberly Daniels this morning. She's a state representative now, and she's had to deal with all kinds of things because she's a woman of God, and she really promotes some powerful things even in the state legislature where she is. And she's saying, you'd be amazed at some of the things I've had to deal with as a public figure, some of the attacks I've had to come up with. And she just said, please go to my page and please pray for me, because some of the stuff I deal with is just unbelievable as a state representative. So, it looks glamorous at times. It looks like, these people, everybody wants to be a public, not everybody, but a lot of people want to be a public figure. They want their business to grow, their ministry to grow. They want to get into political life. And then they don't realize that it's not all glamour, that there's a lot that you have to deal with. And by the grace of God, you can deal with it. So be considerate. Be considerate. Pray for your leader. Love your leader. If your leader's having a bad day on Sunday, don't react to it. Just say, let's pray for our leader. I don't know what's bothering him or her, or what they're dealing with. You never know. And then when you hear about it, you're like, wow, you mean to tell me that you had to deal with that?
Now, I don't know. We start off on a kind of somber note. So I just found this article. It says a Dallas church is having trouble firing its alleged lying, thieving, and pot smoking pastor.
Yeah, see.
So as soon as you talk about, leadership needing help, look at this guy here. He came late to his first church meeting, and then he took over. Then they found out he got arrested for marijuana possession.
Yeah, they're having trouble firing him. Sometimes it's difficult to get rid of certain leaders. It's not easy because they have bylaws to protect them. So here's a case where you can have bad leadership. And, people say, well, I'm not going to feel sorry for this guy. And I don't know what his story is, if he's lying, thieving, and pot smoking as a pastor.
And they said he's not even a good minister. They said on his first dozen Sundays, he preached just 6 times, and he never performed a baptism. I guess that was important to them. He put his son-in-law, he brought his family in on the board of trustees, basically took over. And I guess having a board of trustees, they couldn't vote him out. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes It's not easy. You have to have a certain number of votes, and if a leader has stacked the board with family members, you can't get them out, and that can be very frustrating to people because you have bylaws, and it's a 501c3, it's a corporation, and they have a hard time getting rid of certain leaders. I remember years ago, there was a video of a pastor. It was in the Minnesota area, and he was arguing with some members. And I guess they were trying to get rid of him. And a lady, she just hauled off and hit him. And he came back. He was an older guy. He came back and hit her right back in the face. So you got, a pastor fighting a member. And then they break the two up. And then somebody said, no, she hit him first. And then, so he had a right to hit her back. So that's insane that it gets to that particular point. I don't know what the problem was with that leadership and why they were having issues with the pastor and what his problem was, but they actually got into fist fights.
Oh, I got the clip up here. It's not funny, but I think she's gonna.
Bring it up because I think she swings on him.
Yeah, she's gonna hit him, and he's going to.
He comes back quick.
Let's see if it'll play.
He comes back fast, and this it used to be a place where they have the like church fights. They have actually YouTube church fights and people getting into confrontations. It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. Some of the stuff that leaders have to deal with, and so again, the challenge is be concerned about a fight breaks out after a mega church pastor asks for $1,000 offerings. Okay, that's not good.
A fight.
Fighting in church, Jacksonville, Florida. This one was outdoors. It's an older gentleman, and it was outdoors. So I don't.
I think I found it. He got a picture of her now. Yeah, it's him hitting her. It's not funny, but it's like an old guy. He still has a briefcase in one hand.
Right.
And he just give a stiff right. She slapped him, but.
Yeah, she slaps him.
Yeah, she slapped him.
And he comes back on her, and this is some of the stuff we have to deal with church leadership sometimes. But these are extreme cases. You don't find this. Most pastors, most men of God are okay. Most pastors are good leaders. I don't know anyone that personally that has ever done this before, but stuff like this does happen. So again, the challenge is remember to be considerate for your leader. You never know what they're dealing with behind the scenes. You see them on Sundays, or you see them when they come from home, but you don't know the details. We're not making excuses for leaders, but sometimes you don't know what they deal with, and just pray for them and be considerate of your leadership, because I just shared a few things that I dealt with, not anything major, but some of the little things that can really, really vex you as a leader, things that just come out of nowhere, especially in the age of social media. We have so many ways that people can contact, or Twitter, Periscope, comments, Facebook Live, Messenger. So many ways they can contact you and say things that can really, really, bother you and get on your nerves. So that's what we want to talk about. That's my first podcast. It's more relaxed. It's called The Challenge. We want you to tune in. We're going to do more of these. I'm going to bring in some guests and just talk about different things that are on my heart. I like it because it's more relaxed. And sometimes people see me preaching, prophesying, ministering deliverance. It's always focused and intense. But I do like to have fun. Sometimes people don't think prophetic people have fun, but I do have fun. I enjoy life. I laugh. I was in a restaurant the other night, and somebody showed me a picture, and I laughed so hard. They showed me something on their phone, and it was Sophia Ruffin. She showed me something. I was with her and Rodrigo, and she showed me something on her phone. I laughed so hard in the restaurant. People were looking at me. I laughed so hard until I really felt better after that laugh. It was so hilarious. And I hadn't laughed that hard in a long time. I needed that laugh. It was one of them strong belly laughs. And so we do have fun.
Why don't you give them a prediction of Cavs Warriors tonight before we sign
Cavs
off?
Warriors. I was hoping that I like the Warriors. I like LeBron James, even though a lot of people don't like him. I like LeBron James. I think that what he's done this year is amazing, bringing the Cavaliers all the way to the finals. But I knew that if they didn't win Game 3, put a fork in them, they're done. Because you're dealing with Curry, you're dealing with Durant, you're dealing, and this is funny because Stephen A. Smith was interviewing Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's from Cleveland, and he was interviewing Steve Harvey before the game, saying, "Now, Steve, do you really think that Cleveland has a chance against Golden State?" And Steve Harvey's like, "Look, man, I'm from Cleveland. We got to keep hope. I'm not going to abandon my boys now." And he said, "The fat lady is not yet sang. It's not yet over." He said, "She's in the hallway drinking tea. I know she's about to come out." He said, "But I'm not going to give up on my boys. I'm a Cleveland man." And then they start talking about, do you think that LeBron is going to leave Cleveland and go somewhere else? And where do you want him to go? And first of all, he said, "How about L.A.?" And Steve Harvey said, "No, I don't want him to come to L.A. I live in L.A. The Lakers have won enough championships. We don't need him in L.A. I wish he'd go to Philadelphia or Houston." Philadelphia has a lot of young players, or Houston, and because if Golden State stacked the deck by bringing Durant in, then why doesn't the other team stack the deck as well? So give Houston a chance. But I think it's over. Down 3-0. There's no way that I believe that they can win 4 in a row.
Is it going to be a sweep, you think?
I believe it's going to be a sweep. Just go ahead and let it end. Don't prolong the agony.
Yeah, but for his legacy though, he probably doesn't want
the competitiveness of these players. When you're an NBA player, the competitiveness level of these people is just unbelievable. You think about Michael Jordan. His competitive level was through the roof. I believe that's what made him a great player, was that he was so competitive. They hate losing. Even if they don't win the series, to go out 4 in a row, lose at home, their competitiveness will make them just try to win and then have to go back. Would they go back to Golden State? Is it 3 in Cleveland or 2?
I think it's 2-2, 1-1-1. So if they would have to go back to Golden State for Game 5, then back to Cleveland for 6, and then back to Golden State for 7.
Yeah, so if they win tonight, they have to go to Golden State.
But I don't think he wants an NBA Finals sweep on his record. People compare him to Jordan. Just not getting swept is just, that's just a pride thing. I believe they might pull one out tonight, but they just going to go back to Golden State. And I want to go back to Oakland too, if I was the Cleveland Cavaliers, just to go to Oakland. Or they could just end their season now and go to Cancun.
Or if they go back to Golden State would win it at home.
Yeah, but you just don't. LeBron probably just does not want to have an NBA Finals sweep.
He's never been swept before, has he?
I don't think he's ever been swept.
No.
Especially in the finals. That's gonna hang over his head forever. It'll be never.
And then he won the last championship they won. They were down 3-1.
Yeah. And
they came back and won it. But this is 3-0.
This is because the 3-1 is like a star on his record. Like he came back from 3-1 in the finals. Even though they suspended Draymond Green, we're not gonna talk about that.
Oh boy.
But he if they're gonna say, "Oh, you came back from 3-1, but then you got swept," which is the way. It was Durant. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's over with. He might win tonight. I'm pretty sure all the local businesses want another game.
Well, Marcus Beaver, my prophetic friend, says it's all fixed anyway. He believes everything is rigged. So if you ask Marcus Beaver, he said, "Oh, you all watch these games. They're all rigged. The whole NBA is rigged." So he really believes he's really a conspiracy theorist. And he said, "You think I'm nuts, don't you?" I say, "Yes, I think you nuts in this area, Marcus, about all this rigging stuff, and everything is not rigged in a conspiracy." But yeah, I think it's over.
I think the NBA is the easiest sport to rig because of the refs have so much control. But did you hear about this? 6 hours ago, a Russia 2008 World Cup referee, he was filmed accepting cash bribe. He quit before he quit when they released the video, but it was like a $600 bet. I mean, $600 bribe.
The World Cup.
Well, he's just a ref, but then again, you got to remember, it's soccer, so they don't have as much control. Like in the NBA, you can just call a foul. You can get people in foul trouble and really affect the game. In soccer, I don't watch it that much, but they don't have that much influence.
Well, the World Cup is coming up. That's the biggest sporting event in the world. It's coming up in a month's time, and they've had a lot of problems with FIFA and, of course, the Olympics, with a lot of corruption with these refs. It's all money. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me when it comes to, because this World Cup thing is amazing. I remember, and I'm going to end this. I remember when the World Cup was in South Africa and they were blowing those horns.
I think everybody remember that.
I forget what they call them, but they were blowing those horns, and those teams like, this is the most aggravating World Cup I've ever been to, because in South Africa, they evidently in their soccer matches, they blow these horns, and it was just constant.
Yeah, it was annoying to watch on TV.
It was constant noise, and it was driving the teams crazy. It was a financial boom for South Africa. The first time and I was in South Africa, I saw the stadiums they built. They built these amazing stadiums. Then I think the last World Cup was in Brazil, and Brazil, they lost that World Cup. And I think Germany won. So Brazil, in the World Cup, these nations, they go, you're talking about suicidal. These people, there it is. Yeah, they blowing those horns. What is it called?
Vuvuzela.
How you spell that?
Vuvuzela.
Vuvuzela. Yeah. So that's South African soccer. But these nations take this soccer, I mean, they go berserk. I remember years ago watching the 30 for 30, the two Escobars. Have you seen the two Escobars?
Yeah, man.
I didn't watch it.
Okay, you need to watch the two Escobars. It's about Pablo Escobar from Colombia. Most people know Pablo Escobar, major drug dealer, but he was a soccer fan, and they would bet large amounts of money on soccer. And then it was in the United States, the World Cup, and there was another player on the Colombian team called Escobar, and he accidentally kicked a goal in his own net, and they lost the match, I think, to America.
Right.
And so they told him if he went back home, they were going to kill him because he lost. That's how serious it was. So he goes back home, and he's there a short period of time, and they assassinate him over soccer because he kicked the goal in the opposing team's net. They killed him. He was he was a star on their team, and they kill him, I guess, because the drug cartels had put so much money. And of course, it's a shame if you lose to America. These nations, if they lose to America, they just think that's the worst thing, because America, to them, should never win a World Cup in soccer.
We don't care.
The women won the World Cup, but not the men. So, yeah, the two Escobars. It's a great 30 for 30. I recommend, second only to the Bad Boys. My favorite 30 for 30 is the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons. And then when they walked off the court against the Chicago Bulls, when Jordan and them finally took care of the Pistons, who used to aggravate me to no end when they come and beat the Bulls. And finally, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen took them out, and they walked off the court, including Isaiah Thomas, and they walked off the court without shaking hands. But that Bad Boys is one of the best. They were bad. That the Pistons, I couldn't stand them, but they could play some ball, and they kept winning and winning and winning. And then eventually Dennis Rodman came to Chicago. So you see, people, I do more than preach, prophesy, cast out devils. I watch specials. I follow sports. I laugh. I'm a leader. I tell leaders, don't take yourself too seriously. Have some fun. If you don't, you'll lose your mind in ministry. You better have some fun. You better enjoy life. You better do something. You better have an outlet. Don't be carnal or fleshly, but you've got to do more than just pray fast, cast out devils, prophesy, and read the Bible. Jesus said, I come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in to our first podcast, The Challenge. This is John Eckhardt.
Yeah, I gotta go get ready to see this LeBron sweep.
Okay, we're getting ready to get the LeBron sweep, but the LeBron game is coming on shortly, and we're gonna watch it. Either it's the final one or the extended. Okay, we'll see. But I'm out. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll John Eckhardt.
Alrighty, we're out. Bye bye.